Hey guys, and welcome to the Mondelez International Google Hangout. Today we're going to be talking about the assessment process. So we've had a lot of questions in from a lot of you guys that are probably watching now, and some of you that might be catching up on YouTube. So basically the purpose of today is to give you an insight into the application process, what to expect when applying for our schemes, and kind of how to prepare for each of the stages. So I've got a couple of my colleagues with me, one of them from the UK and one from Poland. Going to talk about our own experiences and kind of what you can expect from the process. We'll be looking to give you hints and tips along the way, and just give you a bit of a general insight into each of the stages. So to begin with, we'll kick things off by giving you an introduction of who we are and what we do within the business. So as you can see, I'm on the HR graduate scheme. I'm based in the UK. The office that I'm based in is in Bourneville, so that's in Birmingham for those that aren't familiar with the UK. And there I'm part of the European talent acquisition team. Now, part of this role is working on employer branding. So this relates to a lot of social media work. So anything on Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn, that's to do with me. And basically, it's to try and drive attention and applications to our jobs and making sure that we secure the very best talent. Now, my job crosses over with the early careers campaign. So people like myself and my colleagues that are with me today, so graduates, interns, apprentices all across Europe. My job is to try and get the adverts out there and just to try and drive interest and get people applying. So that's basically what I do. So I applied for the scheme. Basically, I was interested in Leeds International. As a HR graduate, I really wanted to pursue a career in HR. Leeds International, being a multinational company, was obviously significantly appealing compared to other companies. A huge European reach means that there's a lot of variety in terms of HR. So there's different cultures to consider. As well as different legislative climates. So that was kind of the big pluses in terms of Mondelez and why I applied. But also in terms of HR, there's the main strategy at Mondelez is financial performance, but also being a great place to work. Now, this is a really good concept for a HR graduate like myself, so this just made it the perfect opportunity to apply. I've been in the business for 3 months so far. I'm just going into my 4th month. Probably the highlights so far been setting up these Google Hangouts. I've had the opportunity to meet and liaise with colleagues across Europe, so people like Carol, who you'll hear from shortly. He's based in Poland. I've had the opportunity to liaise with Carol and get a real insight into his role and what he gets up to. So it's been really interesting, and it's been a brilliant first 3 months. So I'm going to hand you over to Carol now, and he'll give you a bit of an insight into who he is, what role he does, and why he applied for the company. So I'll just pass you over to Carol now. Carol, are you okay just to give a bit of an insight into your side of things, please, mate?
As of August this year. Hello, so I'm also a newcomer. My name here is Karol. I am now in a graduate job and I program come from Poland. Could you repeat once more? And I've
Sorry, we appear to be having a bit of a technical difficulty. 1 second. Let me just see if we can. Let's just see if we can talk to Carol again. 1 minute. Carol, can you hear us? I think we're struggling at the moment just with the connection that we've got in Poland. So what we'll do, Gabriella, are you okay just to
yes, I can hear you.
Sorry, it's just flicking between the two. I'm going to hand over to Gabriella, Carol. So if you just hold on a second, Gabriella's going to introduce herself, and then we'll come back to you and then carry on from there. Gabriella, over to you.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Rich. So hi, everyone. So as you can see, I'm Gabriella Robotham. I graduated this summer in mechanical engineering, and I joined the engineering graduate scheme here at Bourneville early September. So I've been here just over 6 weeks now. So my first role is in project engineering here in Bourneville. So that's really involving installing and commissioning new equipment both inside and outside the factory, which is really cool because I get to liaise with many contractors and many different parties really to see a whole project come together, which is really rewarding. I guess I applied to Mondelez really because it combined my interests in manufacturing in an FMCG environment, but also to be able to work with our great brands such as Cadbury, which we make here in Bourneville, but Toblerone and Oreo, some of the brands that I absolutely love and always have done, But also, when I was looking at applying it to different companies, Mondelez seemed like a really brilliant place to work, and that's something that you can't buy really, and I can confirm that it really is a fantastic place to work. So a highlight for me so far would definitely be really meeting other different contractors and seeing projects come together, but also seeing some roses and heroes being made on a couple of the new lines that we're commissioning here.
Thanks for that, Gabriella. It's really good to get an insight into your side of things. We're going to try and reconnect with Carol, so I'm going to pass you over to Carol now, and then hopefully the connection is a little bit better. So over to you, Carol.
Hello, everyone. Once again, I hope that now you hear me. My name is Karol Molenda, and I come from Poland. I've joined Mondelez as of August this year, so I'm basically with the company for over 3 months, for less than 3 months. And actually, now I'm on a graduate program in customer service and logistics. I work as a hub planner for the biscuits category in Warsaw Hub. I'm taking care about production planning and material planning for one of Mondelez factories, biscuit factory in Jarosław in Poland. It's really interesting because actually I'm within my responsibilities is to plan production and decide how much we'll produce and what products will be on the market. So it's really great responsibility and also gives you a lot of satisfaction. Why I've chosen Mondelez? The answer is simple. Company has unique approach to young people, and actually it gives us a lot of possibilities to grow and develop. For example, through trying different roles and putting us into real challenging environments from the first day. In my opinion, Mondelez is a company that is really worth applying. So that's basically it is. Now I'm at the beginning of the program, so I'm starting to learn the ropes of supply planning here, and later I think that everything will be clarified, and I will move to other departments according to my preferences and also business needs. So we'll see how it works. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that, Carol. So a lot of the questions that we've had have kind of centered around the assessment process and what to expect. So basically what we're going to do today is just kind of go through each stage, give you a bit of an insight as to what to expect, but then give you a bit of an insight into our own experiences and how we'd advise you to kind of prepare and what to expect. So the first stage obviously is the application process. So there'll be an application form to fill out, as well as you can submit your CV and also your covering letter. These have to be submitted in English for our opportunities across Europe. These give you a real opportunity to kind of demonstrate your competencies and your previous experience using your CV and answering our questions. Carol, are you okay just to provide the viewers with a bit of an insight into how you prepared and what you'd advise they do?
Of course, it will be a pleasure to me. Actually, application process is not really difficult. With hindsight, I would say that the best way to approach this online application is at the beginning just to stay true and write about yourself and about your experiences, and try to. When applying, we should try to refer to real experiences, both at the university and both from our former internships or participation in any kind of volunteering or other organizations. I would say that nice examples of personal contributions or sort of innovative solutions are always welcome, and it is highly valued by Mondelez. My advice here is definitely try to point out your advantages and explain why you you acted in a particular way, because that's the way what is your try basically when you cooperate with others, teamwork. So that's really important for what is very important. When applying, try to put in.
Sorry, Carol, we're just losing you there, so I'm just going to have to move on a second. So just give me 1 minute. I'll just try and reconnect. So sorry about that, guys. We're having a bit of an issue with the broadcast at the moment. It must be the connection that we've got. So what I'll do, I'll just kind of give you a few hints and tips from my side in terms of how to approach the application process. So you'll have questions relating to sort of certain competencies and experiences. Basically, what you should apply throughout any stage of the application process is to be really specific and to use the STAR technique. So to explain the situation, the task that you were faced with, the action you took, and then the results that you came with. So that would be my main advice here. We'll try and connect to Carol now. Let's just see if he can get through. 1 second. Carol, can you hear us now? Sorry, guys. It looks like we've lost our colleague in Poland, so we're going to have to continue without him, which is a bit of a shame. But hopefully, myself and Gabriella can continue for you. So moving on. So basically, in terms of the application process, what Carol was trying to say was to basically use as many examples as you can of real examples that you've been a part of. Try and use some work experience. But you can also use volunteering. That's sometimes a good option to use for explaining situations where you've been faced with challenges or certain projects. Also, university and school examples, they're also often quite good, working with fellow students and things like that. So basically, just make sure you use real examples and you fully explain what you did and what you contributed. Those would be the main points that I'd advise for that. Rather than talking about necessarily what the team achieved, talk about your contribution so we can really assess what you're capable of. In your CV, basically just make sure that you really show us what you're capable of, and try and identify your unique selling point. So let us know why it is that you should join the company, and just try and express why you'd be a good fit for Mondelez International. That'll be the main points to take away from the application process. So now moving on to the next point. So if you're successful in getting through from the application form, you'll be put through to an online personality questionnaire. So this is basically used just to kind of assess your behaviours and traits. We use this to kind of get an idea of what you're capable of and how you'd act in certain situations. So like I say, this will look at traits, behaviours, competencies, and just general qualities and experiences that you may have, and to try and predict how you'd react in certain situations. And this will help us kind of understand how you'd fit within the business. Gabriella, are you okay just to kind of give a bit of an insight as to how people should approach this and what they should expect?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Rich. So really, I mean, the personality questionnaire, you've got a mixture of exercises. So some of them may be to do with picking statements that best suit your personality, whereas some exercises in the questionnaire may involve you assessing how good your level of expertise in certain skills, such as project management, team leading, and really problem solving. My tip would be really to be honest. Don't try and second guess what you think you should answer or what you think Mondelez wants to hear, because one, you want to be recruited based on what you are as a person. You don't want to be recruited on a false pretense. But also you want to give Mondelez the best view of yourself possible. So really just be honest. That honestly is the best policy.
That's perfect. Thank you very much for that, Gabriella. That'd be my advice. Just basically, don't think too much into it. Just answer the questions as honestly as you can, and it's just a case of us getting to know you, and as well as you trying to identify how you'd fit within our business. So moving on, if you move on from this stage, you'll get to the on-demand video interview. Now, this stage you'll be faced with certain questions that kind of probe your motivation for applying and potentially your own experiences. So at this stage, you'll be given login details to go onto a particular site, and at this point, you will have questions that come up onto the screen, and you'll have the opportunity to then record your answers. At this point, it is important to stress that should you not be happy with a particular answer, you have the opportunity to re-record. So don't worry too much about that. So just really feel comfortable here, and try and give the best representation of yourself as you can. And like I said before, make sure you're specific with your examples, and make sure you really understand why you're applying to the business, and why you're applying to a particular function. My main tips and my insight into the on-demand video interview. It's also important to know that you can do this at any time, as it's an online video interview where you can record it yourself. You don't have to allocate a particular time. It can be done at your own convenience. And like I say, you can re-record your answers until you're happy. Gabriella, have you got anything to add in terms of the online video interview?
Yeah, just a few things really. Like Rich said, because you can do it in your own time, you have plenty of time to prepare for the sort of questions that you think you might be asked. So generally they're competence or motivation based. So really a question will appear on the screen and then you have a ticking clock that's typically 30 to 60 seconds in which you have to answer the question. It might be odd looking into a webcam because there's no one on the other end, it's just you talking into your webcam, but it means that you're aware of how you come across. So you have to bear in mind it's the first time that Mondelez are going to see you. So really treat it like a face-to-face interview. So dress smartly. If you're wondering what that might be like, so typically how Rich and I are dressed right now. So really smart, casual. Then really look into the camera and give positive body language. You want to give the best impression you can. And I would thoroughly recommend playing back your answer for each question, just to see how you come across. If you're not happy with it for any reason, then you can re-record it, and then you can only submit it when you're happy.
Thanks for that, Gabriella. So that should give us that should give you a bit of an insight as to what to expect. It should take about 30 minutes, the online video interview. So allocate about that much time when you're looking to undertake it. In terms of some of the applications across Europe, sometimes this can be used to assess your English competency. So please be aware of that if you're applying from countries where you're not a native English speaker. This part of the process can be looking at that. So just be aware of that. And then, yeah, so moving on, if you're successful in getting through the online video interview, you'll move on to a telephone interview stage. Now you can kind of guess what comes up in this. So we'll be looking about kind of your experience, your competencies, and as we mentioned previously, you need to be really specific about kind of what you've done in the past. Really explain situations that you've been in, what action you've taken, and what results that has led to. So these questions will revolve around your experience, your kind of motivation, your skills, as well as your competencies. So this will be with a member of the business. So just try and relax, give specific examples, and just really highlight what you did and what you achieved. That'd be my main tips. My colleague in Poland, Carol, we're just going to try and reconnect to him because I know he's got a couple of comments to make about this. So I'll just pass you over and then just see if he can hear us this time. So, Carol, are you okay to say a few words about the telephone interview?
Yes, of course. And the first question, can you hear me now? It's better?
Yeah, definitely. Much better this time. So fingers crossed.
Perfect. So about the telephone interview, as you have mentioned, it is held in English, and it's mainly taking into consideration details from your CV and also your experiences. So you need to make sure that all the entries are known. And what is really convenient, Mondelez tries to adjust timings to do so. Some flexibility here is really convenient for the applicant. I would recommend to make sure that you have 1 hour of free time for the phone interview. It should take around 30 minutes, but it's better to have some spare time for that. Also, what is really important to be prepared and to make as much research as it is only possible about the company, about the brands, and also about the role that we are applying for. There is no need to be stressed. Interviewers are really friendly, and it's more like a friendly talk rather than a formal interview. Also, before the talk, I would recommend to think about examples of the personal experiences at the university, in teamwork, for example, or in our former internships, something that is worth to be mentioned. Yeah, and basically that's the key point of the interview. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carol. I hope the viewers found that as insightful as I would have done if I was in their situation. Basically, just keep preparing. I'd look into the company, and like Carol mentioned, really try and understand what experiences you have. So when you're preparing, really think as to what are your key experiences in the past, and what have you added to particular teams or anything along those lines. So really understand yourself, as well as the company when you're going into this interview. But like Carol says, it's more like a conversation rather than the formal, strict conversation. So yeah, just relax, and then just let your best shine through. So if you're successful in getting through that stage, in some of our schemes, so graduate programs across Europe, you'll progress to an online stage. So for this, you'll be subject to numerical and/or verbal reasoning tests. So you'll be able to log on online and take these whenever it's convenient for you. Alongside the invitation to these, you'll be given access to practice questions. I'd really recommend, certainly for me, they've really helped. So make sure that you take these practice tests and really just kind of keep doing them until you're comfortable with them, and then take the online tests. I know sometimes candidates find these quite tricky, but as long as you prepare, these should be fine. And then kind of moving on from that, if you've managed to pass through those, you'll get through to the final stage of the assessment process. Now, across our countries, this can vary, and across our schemes, this can vary. But you'll either have a face-to-face interview in places like Belgium and France for internships, or you'll progress to an assessment centre process. So all three of us here on this call today, we went to an assessment centre. But I know for other people across certain countries and for schemes, you might just have a face-to-face interview. So that will be competency-based. So as we've said all along, just be really specific with your examples, really prepare and understand why you're the best person for the job and why your experiences matter. But also understand your motivations for applying, so why you want to join the company and why you think you'd be a good fit for us. So that's kind of like the face-to-face interview side of things. So that will be competency-led. So like I say, this could be in Belgium or France for our internships, but it may be the case in some of our other countries. This will be communicated to you as you go through the assessment stages for whichever schemes you're applying for. So don't worry too much about this now. You will be made aware of what's to come. Now, in terms of the assessment centre process, it's likely to involve a group task, so some form of group discussion, and then you'll probably have an individual presentation. This is pretty consistent across all of our schemes across Europe. There may be a role-play exercise, and there will likely be an interview at some point in the day, so that will be similar to what I've previously mentioned. Gabriella, are you okay just to give a bit of an insight into your assessment centre day that you had?
Yeah, absolutely. So I thought that because I applied for an engineering grad scheme that it would be really technical, but you don't have to worry about that at all because it's not technical. It's more about assessing how you fit in with a company, how you work with other people, and it's the same regardless for whatever function that you've applied for. So really, as Rich said, there are 4 exercises. So there is an individual exercise where you have to absorb some information and then you present it to a senior colleague. There's a role play exercise, which again assesses your communication skills and how you react to new situations. There's an assessed group exercise, and with the group exercise, I would really stress you need to be aware of how you behave in a group situation. So do you involve others? Do you engage people in conversation? And do you show initiative? I was really aware that when you've got 4 people marking you in a meeting room, it can feel quite daunting, but you need to be aware of the fact that they can only assess you on what you present. So if you've got a really good skill, so you're really good at showing initiative, then show it. So the great thing about the assessment centre as well is that throughout the day you get to spend some time speaking to people currently on the graduate scheme that you've applied for. And you get to speak to some senior managers as well. And it's a really good opportunity for you to see the site, really get a feel for what it's like to work here. And honestly, I can't recommend enough that you apply because it's a brilliant place to work. And finally, you have a face-to-face interview with a senior person from the function you've applied for. So again, this is typically about an hour, and you'll be asked similar competence questions. But like I said, the whole day is really an opportunity for you to assess how well you fit the company, but also to assess how Mondelez fits for you, because you need to make sure that it works both ways. So really, as Rich said before, think about your unique selling points and let them show. If you have a really good skill or a really unique selling point, make sure that you bring that across. Because then it'll really help you stand out, and it'll give the people assessing you really something to think about and thinking, yeah, I definitely want that candidate.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that, Gabriella. So we hope that gives you a real insight into what to expect. It's important to note that in terms of the assessment centre, if you guys are interested, viewers at home, if you progress to that stage, we'll be running another Google Hangout later in the year, so towards the end of November. The details are on the website, so I believe it's the 26th of November. We'll be doing an entire Google Hangout session on the assessment centre process. So if you want to tune in then, we'll be giving you kind of more hints and tips on what to expect and how to prepare, really. So yeah, so for more information on that, stay tuned and come back to another Google Hangout. So that should really give you a real overview as to what to expect from our assessment process. I think, judging from the questions that came in, a lot of it was relating to what are the order of the tasks, what to expect, how should we prepare. So we really hope that our answers have been able to give you an insight into that. Now we're going to leave you with a few hints and tips, personal hints and tips that we used when we were applying. So we're just going to go around the group. So to begin with, my main hint and tip would be probably just to really understand the company and really understand the role. Through understanding the company and the role, you can really understand how it fits for you. And if the role fits for you, and obviously you've got the capability, it's going to be a perfect match. So if you fully understand that, you'll be able to demonstrate that when it comes to the assessment centre and throughout the rest of the assessment process, really. Like I mentioned previously, for a HR role, Mondelez International is perfect. Being a great place to work, it really means that HR has a voice. And I always wanted to work for an international company. Mondelez obviously operates in 165 countries, I believe. So it's a huge multinational. It's perfect for HR. So really, it was just a case of me stressing why that was important to me, as well as linking what skills I had and my HR experience, just to demonstrate how much I would fit with the company, but how much it would fit with me. So it's really understanding both sides of the coin. So I'll pass you over to Carol now, just to give you a bit of an insight into what his hints and tips are. Carol, are you okay just to provide those?
Of course, that would be a pleasure. When it comes to tips that I would give, it's definitely the fact that you need to be proactive during the whole recruitment process, because it is really important in Mondelez to be active and to show your interests and to make it visible. Also, what is one tip that I definitely would like to mention is don't be scared, for example, that you don't have the exact university background. For example, I have a chemical background and I also have been studying management, but still I'm working within logistics. So it's Mondelez will assess your abilities and how you fit with the company, not necessarily only your education. So that, and also when it comes to the whole process, try to gather as much information about Mondelez as possible, about the brands, about the way in which people work here. That's really important and crucial during the whole process. And also, the last tip that I would like to give is about the assessment center. At least in Poland, it requires sort of formal dress code. So try to make a good impression, and yeah, that will be all. Thank you very much.
Thanks for that, Carol. I'd like to echo that in terms of preparation. Just really make sure that you fully understand everything, know the details of the company, and just really try to make a great first impression. Gabriella, are you okay just to share your insights really, and just give a bit of an insight into how you'd advise candidates prepare, and what a hint and tip would be from your side?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say if you like food, if you like our brands, if you like chocolate, if you like biscuits, if you like sweets, then this is absolutely the perfect company to work. I can't really think of any other companies in the world that you get to work with so many fantastic brands. You know, I think the fact that we're #1 in the world for so many categories for chocolate and biscuits really says a lot about who we are as a company, about our drive and our success, and that we look for talented people like yourselves, the viewers at home, to really apply and to be part of this great success. So a couple of tips really. One would be the 3 no's that I was always told at university. So know the company, what we stand for, what we do, what our values are. Know the role that you've applied for, and really know yourself. So that might be quite tricky, but think about your experiences, your achievements, your values and your goals, and really link them back to both the company and the role. So then you've covered all 3 main bases throughout your application. And finally, bring a personal touch. So I would say if you have a great experience with one of our brands, say if your family shares a Toblerone at Christmas, talk about it in your application. Keep in the back of your mind, why do you think Mondelez is so successful? You know, why do you think customers keep coming back to us? And if you keep those in mind throughout the whole application process, then it'll really bring a personal touch. It'll show that you've thought about the company. It'll show that you think about our activities, and it'll really help your application stand out.
That was brilliant. Thank you very much, Gabriella, and you, Carol. I'm sure that provided the viewers at home with a brilliant insight into kind of how to prepare and what your hints and tips were. So that brings us to the end of the assessment process Google Hangout. So I hope that was really informative for you guys at home. As I mentioned previously, if you're successful and get through to the assessment centre, we'll be running another Hangout at the end of November, so you can tune in then for some more insights. But other than that, thank you very much for tuning in, and I really hope you found that informative. Thank you.